Hey everyone. We are going to do the second of the Greater Parenting interviews. And I'm going to bring April Moseley into this Zoom meeting in a minute. Before I do, I just wanted to give you a little intro into the topic. Okay, so one of the guideposts, the central guidepost really for Greater Parenting that inside the group we created at the very outset is compassion. And we also learned together early on that compassion, the way that we develop it as parents, is to begin by responding compassionately to ourselves, responding compassionately to our own distress, and responding compassionately to our parenting experience. And the more and more that we practice that deep acceptance and kindness and compassionate response for ourselves, the more and more that we're practicing, that we're training for responding to our kids, responding to our partners, responding to others in our life and in our world through that compassionate place, right? Through that compassionate lens. And so when I think about that process of responding compassionately to self, April Moseley, who's a dear friend and colleague of mine, is who always comes to mind. April and I were in grad school together years ago. We got to travel in that program across the world and teach and survive like a typhoon together. We both started families around the same time, shared baby clothes and all that fun stuff. But more than anything, April has demonstrated to me over time this ability to, no matter how hard things are, no matter how difficult life is, whether that's externally, environmentally, or even internally from our own process and experience, that it's possible to soldier on and to develop strength and resilience through this process of caring for self, responding compassionately to self. So this topic for the second Greater Parenting interview is caring for self and raising young kids. So I'm going to bring her in and pop her out of the waiting room here, and we will get started with this, the second interview for Greater Parenting, in order to actually say, yeah, this shit's hard, and we can be okay. Both are true at the same time,
Yeah.
You have always sort of resonated that, I think, which is brilliant, which is why I pulled you on for this topic specifically, honestly. Yeah. So through all of that, so through evaluating what's important, through rewriting your narrative, through your own growth and adaptation, what has been the hardest thing for you in that process, and what did you learn from it?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, thank you for the kind things that you said. The actual truth is you met me right after everything fell apart for me. And so I was learning those values. And that ties directly into my answer to that question. So the hardest part for me is not losing myself in the process, is staying connected to myself and my truth. And I have to intentionally set aside time and space and lean into the things that I know connect me back to myself, whether it's grounding or journaling or going for walks or doing the things that keep me back in my body, because I can so easily in this process look outward and kind of lose myself in the process. So if I don't lean into that, all these things that I'm trying to hold up and be a part of with my family and my career, they all suffer, right? If I'm not connected to myself and don't know what is actually going on for me or what I actually need. So, for me, the truth is I don't necessarily come from a background, whether that's faith or family or friends, whatever, that encourage that part of me all the time. Right? I've learned that in my adult years. What's it look like?
What was encouraged, if not that?
In my background?
Yeah.
Denial of self, martyrdom, looking to others, whether looking to others in a sacrificial kind of way or in a looking to others to meet your needs, as opposed to really looking inward and going like, okay, who am I? What do I need? How can I meet my needs? So that then I can go out and meet my kids. I really felt like growing up, and even a lot of times still looking around, like the focus a lot is on like the kid and what the kid needs. And what I have found like time and time again in my personal work and in my work with clients is like, if the parent will do the work, the kid, like it gets better. It just every time.
Yeah.
And so for me, I like saw that firsthand in practice with clients, and then was like, holy crap, that means I have to like keep doing my work, right? Like I got to show up and stay connected to myself. And that I believe in it with my whole heart. I like teach it to clients all the time and can still fall victim to doing it myself.
That's right.
And so for me, it's just like, I have to have those giant Post-its on my wall to remind me of like who I am and what do I care about. And that's who I am. I've got to take care of that in order to be able to show up in these places. Right. With my kids and with my husband. And man, it's hard.
So isn't it interesting that, so like what you're talking about right there is like this continual process of reminding, right? Or this continual process of growth, of healing, right? Because our histories are so that they, maybe haven't led to healthy stories for, how we view self, right? How we view caring for ourselves or responding compassionately to ourselves. I know in my history, that was viewed as like being selfish, right? Like if you, took time to take care of yourself or, you know what I mean? And so, or even like being confident, right? Like I remember thinking that like confidence was arrogance, like they were the same thing. And until I had a professor at one point who I saw was super genuine and authentic and kind, but super confident, right? In who they were and in their ability to like, own their, like the material that they taught. And that shifted for me, right? But I still fall victim to it too, to anything that like we have relearned or rewritten for ourselves. Our old stories are still there, right? They're laid down in the memory center of our brain. And we can very easily, especially if we're not taking care of ourselves, fall back to those other stories, All right, so that was the second of our Greater Parenting interviews with April Moseley. If you didn't get to watch the whole thing, then be sure to join the group so that you can get full access to the video. You hear more wisdom and more process and what it's like to be on the Greater Parenting path, what it takes to get there, and the benefit that our kids can have for it, okay? All right, I wish nothing but the best for you guys. May you be happy, may you be safe, may you be well, may you live in peace.